Hey everybody, welcome. I'm Romi Hill, and I am the designer behind Designs by Romi. And today, this is my semi-weekly live on YouTube. I didn't go live last week because I was on like every single day practically, um, and I was just like, oh my God, I can't do one more. So I did upload a video, however, last week, and that was all about my Swoop Softly, and it's the first part of the pattern. So it's the cast on and also the short row sections. So if you haven't watched that and you are knitting my Swoop Softly, definitely take a look. It's like my latest video upload, so it's not in the live section like this will be, but totally worth a watch if you are working on this project. And it's lovely to see you. Hi, Sue. So there's a bit of a delay today, and because Mercury is retrograde and it's really windy outside, I'm expecting to lose my service. So hopefully I won't. Hopefully I have now appeased the gods of internet service and they won't feel the need to like do anything to me. So let's hope. Anyway, there's a little bit of a delay as far as my talking and you seeing it. And because it's windy, there probably is going to be more of a delay because um, like the choppier my service gets, the more it buffers. So there may be more of a delay, but if you ask me any questions in the chat, I will definitely answer them. So don't fear if it takes me a little while. I'll totally get to it. So, okay. Before we talk about the mystery shawl that's starting tomorrow, those of you who don't know me, I sit on an exercise ball when I knit because I cannot sit still and my back kind of seizes up. So, like, I also sit on an exercise ball when I'm live. Like, I have them all over the house. So I could get to bounce and be really happy that tomorrow is my mystery, like the start of my mystery shawl. So, hi, Marianne, Judy, Nancy, Claire, Mary, Devora. Yay, it's so nice to see you. Um, okay, so before we get into like all the mystery shawl stuff, I wanted to show you an up close of the yarn that I'm using on my Swoop Softly that I demonstrated in my video that I uploaded about the start, because it's got this really beautiful like fuzzy texture that's a little bit like mohair, but not really. It looks a little tufty. I don't know if that makes sense, but I wanted to show you like a super up close what it looks like in case you couldn't tell from the video. So let's take a little bit of a look here. So here's what it looks like on the stripes. So you can see there's a halo there that's kind of filling in. Hi, Cynthia. And you can kind of see up close there, little fuzziness in there. Um, and I just wanted to show you like what it looks like really up close. So this is a blend of alpaca, merino, silk, and yak. And you can kind of see that like the kind of darker hairs in there. So it starts out as sort of a taupe base from the yak. And then when they over dye it, it has this beautiful depth to it. So this is succulent. I thought you would love to see what it actually looks like up close. So for those of you who don't like mohair because it kind of tickles your nose, or like it you have difficulty breathing because the mohair sort of is just so super fuzzy, this is kind of more tufty and fuzzy. So it doesn't really come off as much. So I haven't really inhaled any of it as I've been knitting. So I love this. I've really been enjoying it. And this is called Wild Bloom. It's from A Verb for Keeping Warm also. And it, like, so this is very close to the yardage. So you can see what it looks like up close here. Very close to the yardage in the mohair silk. So, and I actually think there's a little bit more stitch definition in this. If you take a closer look here, there's definitely halo that's filling in the holes there. So you're still going to get that really nice fabric where the stripes are sort of filled in. And Sue asked, does it tank easier? It does not. It does not tank easier, I'm afraid to say. So, but it is doable, and I pretty much tink it just like my mohair. So to tink it or to frog it, I like pull up on it. Um, and let's see. So if I were going to tink this, for instance, instead of ripping side to side, I would pull straight up to undo it. I don't really want to undo it right now, but I will actually um, do a little tutorial on it because I think tinking and frogging fuzzy stuff is sort of its own little thing. So yeah. So let's see. Yeah, so Sue said that is okay with your trick. Yes. Yeah, because I did have to rip this out a couple of times, of course, because I just, I start thinking about something else and I'm thinking, oh, I've knit this so many times before I can get this. It's no problem. So the moment I think that, then I have to rip it out. Yeah. So I ripped it a few times and it was totally fine. So okay, so let's get back over here. And if anyone has any questions about that, I've been sort of slowly doing a few rows a day. It's kind of like my treat after I do all my other stuff for the day. So yeah. Anyway, today I have all of my past mysteries to show you. So like today is kind of a trip down memory lane. So I don't know if there are any of you out there who've actually knit all of my mysteries, but yeah, so here they are in my lap in this basket. And then and behind me, so over here, sometimes I will do like a second sample of my mystery and some like different yarn or something like that. So back here, I did two of my mysteries in only one color. And then over on this side, that mystery is a large size because what happened was I didn't want anybody to have to play yarn chicken. So I kind of cut back part of the edging that I wanted to add onto my mystery. And then I decided to release that as a large size in the pattern after everything was finished. So, hi, Claire. Okay, so I am going to this is going to be fun. So if you have any questions about any of these, let me know. So this is my first ever mystery. This is cactus flower. So the first time I ever did a mystery, um, a verb for keeping warm, and I decided we were going to share a booth at Stitches West. Insert a few tears about Stitches West because it is no longer. But it used to be, I don't know, I think a lot of you are not from the West Coast, so you don't know how important Stitches always was. It was always our one that really big show on the West Coast. So, and it was around forever and ever and ever. It's the very first show that I ever went to as a knitter, And that was back when it was in Oakland at the Oakland Convention Center. And then I ended up like actually exhibiting and sharing a booth with a Vert for Keeping Warm. So the first year we did it, we thought, okay, well, maybe that would be fun. And hi, Judy and Cynthia. And yay, yeah. So yeah. Anyway, just looking at everybody's comments about stitches. So it was like, okay, well, like let's try this. And I had kind of stayed away from mysteries before because I had a weird experience with a mystery way back before I really started designing anything like self-publishing patterns. And so I was like, well, I don't know if I want to do that, but people loved it. So, and this cactus flower is in floating, the floating base from A Verb for Keeping Warm. And it's started up at the top here um, and had this is kind of a cool area right in here because it's uh, like if you take a look at the back, here, I'm just going to switch over so you can see this. If you take a look at the back, there aren't any slip stitches. So this was before I really knew the name for this type of stitch. This is a tuck stitch, but I had no idea what it was called. Just, I thought it was a really cool stitch. And so basically what it does is because of the engineering on this, it tucks everything into a stitch here so you don't have any floats. And it was really important to me not to have big floats on the back of a shawl. So, because they can get caught on things. And then this is a knitted on edging. I don't do those anymore for shawls because it takes, or rather for mystery shawls, because it takes so long to do one. So, and it's not really a surprise if I give you half of the edging in one clue and half of it in another. So, I don't do those anymore. Okay, so Devora, I wish you could have come. I'm I hope that we'll have another big show sometime and like someone will come up with a show and that can replace stitches. So, okay. And this is my second year. This is Red Rock Canyon. So, I used to like to really kind of trick people a little bit with the shaping of the shawl. Now I tell you what the shape is because because I want you to know. So I don't want you to be nervous about the shape in case it's a shape that you don't like, or, I don't want you to have to go like through the entire shawl to find out whether you like it or not. So, but this one starts up at the top here. It's a mesh, and it starts up at the top with kind of like semicircle shaping, and then it goes into a triangle later on. So that was my little like mysterious misleading there. And this is just this was fun to knit. I really enjoyed this. It has a lot of twisted stitch patterns here in the borders. And so I used to try every year to do a different base. Like, so this is Annapurna. This was the merino and cashmere. And then, like, I just gave up and I was like, I love floating so much. I just want to pet the yarn kitten. And so I've just been doing floating for a while, but I still do it so that you can do the entire shawl with 385 yards of each color. So so let's see. So that was really fun. Um, this was I'm just gonna show you what the center looks like here. I love hiding the spine of shawls. So in this particular shawl, um, I didn't do any increases right down the middle of the spine here in this contrast stripe, the lighter color. I put all of my increases in the darker color and hid them in this knit two together yarn over row. So right in the middle here, I put the extra increases that would have gone in these stripes. I put them right in the middle so that I've increased 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I increased 6 stitches on each one of these eyelet rows so that this would just be a continuous stripe. So I love doing stuff like that. I kind of geek out on it. And then the middle was written so that it would still look pretty, even though, it's taking into consideration this the spine here and the shaping. I wanted it also to look like it was meant to be there and not just like it was kind of slapped in there as a spine. So that was fun. Okay, so moving on, I'm just going, I actually stacked these up. I couldn't remember exactly what was what. So this one is Moon Shadow. And wrong. I'm not mirrored, so sometimes I get a little confused here. Back here, this is the large size of Moon Shadows, and this is the smaller size that was done um, in as the mystery. So this is one of my favorites. I had so much fun designing this. Um, and let me transition over. I had so much fun doing this edging here. And I also, like, that's one of my favorite stitches. And this edging is actually a smaller edging than I wanted to put on. So that is why I had the second size behind me. So one of the things I like to do when I'm doing like a semicircle or I'm doing kind of like a crescent shape is to do my increases within the fabric. So there in here, there will be an extra little yarn over. So for instance, like right here, this is actually an increase. So I like to hide it in the patterning. And I've done that throughout this whole shawl here. So you can see like at the bottom of this little motif at the top here, I've increased extra stitches into the bottom yarn over. So I love, and that's just, I like having things flow like this. So I'll do that often. And there are also increases in the edging here. So like in these areas. And so if you've knit my patterns before, you'll know I hide increases all over the place. Hi, Di. I'm glad you could join us. Okay. So then, because I hadn't yet had enough of the knitted on edgings, this one is Morning Trail. And it does have a knitted on edging. So it's also behind me over here. Yeah, over here. That kind of gold one. This is just the one color. And some of my shawls, some of the mysteries work really, really well as one color, and some of them don't work as well. But this one worked really, really well as one color. So this one had a lot of fun little things in it, and and also this knitted on edging, which I completely love. But again, after this, I decided never ever to use another knitted on edging in a mystery shawl. So you'll never see another knitted on edging in a mystery shawl, even though I seriously love the way this looks. It is a really cool pattern in there. So it's like a twisted cable with lace in the middle of the cables and super fun to knit. But I think at the end it was a little bit frustrating for people. So I was like, nope, not going to do that anymore. I want everybody just to have absolute fun. And this one starts right at the bottom here of the center triangle and works up to the top. And then it's bound off right along the top here, and then stitches picked up in the yarn overs around the triangle and then worked down. So this one it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I like putting in all sorts of little bits of patterning and fun stuff in every clue so that nothing is boring. So really important to me that every clue has something interesting in it. So at least some kind of fun technique or something like that, or possibly maybe something that you've never used before, but who knows? Okay, so let's see. Yeah, Judy said, I love that edging, but remember some folks running short. Yes. So I did. So sometimes I will say in a pattern, make sure you use your yarn yarn scale and weigh your yarn. And for a knitted on edging, I'm just going to say, even though I'm never going to use one again for a mystery shawl, there are other of my designs that do have knitted on edgings because I think they're so pretty. When you do it, it always uses more yarn than you expect it to. So it is really important to weigh one repeat of your knitted on edging. So as you're going along, you absolutely know that you have enough yarn left or you don't. So definitely if you do one of my patterns that has a knitted on edging, absolutely break out the yarn scale. Weigh it, weigh what you have left, and then do one repeat of the knitted on edging, and then weigh it again. And then you're going to subtract that amount from the original amount you had and multiply that by the number of repeats that you need for the knitted on edging. So that is, like, in my opinion, the only way to do a knitted on edging. Otherwise, it's just like, first of all, it's anxiety producing because you're getting closer to the end, and then like the yarn is dwindling faster than you think it should. And yeah, it's just, yeah. So let's see. Looking at Sue. Yeah, Sue, let's see. So, Sue, I do actually have several shawls that do use a knitted on edging. So this one, you knit it perpendicularly to the body of the shawl. So I don't have it sewn on, but I see that is like some Shetland shawls have you do that, and also, no, it's not Shetland that has you do that. It is Estonian knitting. So they will do like just a strip of border and then sew it on afterwards. I tend not to do that. I like to knit it back and forth. I just use DPNs to knit it back and forth and attach it to the live stitches as I go. So. Let's see. Just looking. Okay. Looking at the questions. So, the question is, so I think it's about this one that T1 checkers. I like that pattern. Um, so Partly the reason that my shawl is really big is that the floating base um, is a little bit heavier and drapier than other bases. So some bases, if you use them, they're going to scrunch up more and they may block out, but then they're going to scrunch up, like they'll bounce back. So something that's like really good for socks or for mitts or something like that, where it needs to fit you. For a shawl, you want it to be all drapey because then it will keep a nice block and hang really drapey. So the floating base has alpaca, silk, and cashmere in it, and it is super drapey, and the block is amazing. So it doesn't really have much memory at all to it, and that may be why my shawl is bigger than yours. So I do actually over here. And this one isn't quite as big because it's a different yarn. So that can have a big impact. Okay. And this one, this is beautiful together. So it has lacy short rows in it. So you can see on the one side over here, there's um, there's more lace than on this side, but it blocks out to a semicircle. So this one was really fun to do. I was feeling very pink. I'm not usually in a very pink mood, but particularly love the super brilliant pink, like hot pink here. And also this is it in natural cashmere. So you can kind of see it looks really good in one color as well. So that was one of the ones that looked nice in either color. And so let me show you the short rows here, just because it's kind of fun to see how completely they disappear. Like you can't really tell that there are short rows in here. So you can just see it getting shorter and shorter as you go around the corner here. And you can't really tell where the short rows are because I love hiding stuff like that. So all hidden in here. And there's a lot of lace and texture in here. And I had a really fun time doing these short rows. So if you take a look, um, the other thing I wanted to say, because of the way I did this, because of the way I did the short rows, you don't have to work the wraps in here. So I try not to make anybody work any wraps when you're doing lace. And here is the edging. So I want to talk a little bit about the edging here because this is something I didn't know before I did this. If you take a look here, you can see like little bits of purple here. And I did not know, this is a naturally dyed yarn. I didn't know at that time that it depended on what type of pin that you used. And some pins will actually keep dyeing your yarn. So this acted as a catalyst, I guess. I have never done natural dyeing, but there, this was like there was some iron in the coating, I guess, of the pins. And you can see where the pins were in here. So I know this, I always talk about this now when you're using naturally dyed yarns because I know some people were really sad that this happened to a couple of other people as well. I thought it looked really cool. So it didn't bother me. But if it bothers you, this kind of thing, before you do anything, like before you wash and block and all of that, definitely test out your pins and just kind of wet your yarn and wrap it around a pin to see if it's going to keep the dye to like continue the dyeing process and act as a catalyst. So I do really love it though. Um, I like the kind of little bit of, it looks like speckles to me. I love speckles. So because I love speckles, I was actually really happy with it. Okay, so I dropped a couple here. Okay, now I have to pick them back up. So then this one is Spring 4th. I was in a very sunny mood that year, and I love the yellows. I think yellow is just such a happy color, and this was the first year that Verb did some speckles for me, and you can see it up close. This is when I just decided I was always going to use floating base from now on because it just made me so happy. It's so soft. So it was my little treat every year to use it. So this one starts right up here, and this top part is worked side to side, and then it's picked up around the outside here and continues down. So on this, you can see there's some spine on this, but you can also see there's some slip stitch areas, and there is no visible spine in the slip stitch areas. So let me kind of show you what that looks like up close, what the slip stitches look like. So here's what the top looks like. I always try to give you yarn overs to pick up in, or make it easier to pick up the right number of stitches. Yeah, Marianne said the pink one looks like yarn is tonal on the points. Yes, I actually thought it was really cool. I liked the way the effect came out. And you can see the little speckles. I love speckles. I think they're so much fun. And you can see that there's some slip stitch patterning in here. And this is one of my favorite borders. I think it looks like little hearts. So I should put this like this. So it has little hearts in the bottom. And this one just makes me happy to look at. So I think yellow is just such a beautiful, happy color. And Verb does some beautiful yellows. So I I I think I was feeling really gray the next year. So this one is called Cathedral Grove. And I keep wanting to knit it in a different color because um, there's I have seen some people's samples that are like just the colors are so beautiful. So that's kind of on my to-do list for when I need some extra something or other to do. So let me show you what this one looks like. So this one was another one I had so much fun just adding in all sorts of different patterning bits in here. And again, remember when I was saying that I like to hide all of my increases within the patterning? I did that in here as well. There are just all little areas in here where I add yarn overs, but then I don't take out anything, like I don't have any decreases. So I think you can see right here, I have just an extra couple of increases in that yarn over. And right here, there's an extra increase. So I really like, here's another increase there. I really love just hiding all that stuff. And then here's the border. So this is actually it's a natural gray, and it's just natural gray with speckles. So there's really no dye on most of it. There's just those little speckles in there. And that one was a lot of fun, and it has cables. Cables, I thought, always fun. So I'm not sure. Marianne asked if this is demure. I'm not sure um, what you're talking about. This is Cathedral Grove, and it's in the floating color base, yarn base. Sorry. Okay, so let's see. So Sue said Cathedral Grove and that cream and gold, the top picture on the page. Yes, it is so pretty. Peggy knit that. And when I saw it, oh, I just was like, oh my God, it's just so beautiful. I want one like that too. So, so that's why I have to knit it again. So this one is April's Song. And usually I don't put in patterning in here where you're doing lace on both sides, but on this one I did. So the top part is it starts right at the point here and works up to the edge, and then that's bound off up at the edge. I thought that was pretty fun. Um, okay, so now I have a confession for you. Look, I never wove in my my last end. Uh, some of these, like, I pick them up and I'm just like, oh, look, I didn't weave in the ends. Um, so here is the part of this one is April's Song. Here's the part of this pattern that has the lace on both sides. So just as an aside, you can tell that the patterning is worked on both sides because there's only one strand between each yarn over. So when there's only one strand between each yarn over, that means both sides, there are yarn overs on here. So and I love this pattern so much that I just wanted to stick it in there. And then other fun things. So let's take a look on this side. So remember I was talking about I don't like to put lots of long floats on the back side of anything. So again, like just a little tiny float there. And that little motif I really liked. And here's the edging. So let me see questions. Looking at, yeah, Sue said she pulled up the Ravelry page and typed in mystery and was happy to have them all. So I do want to say I have a mystery bundle as well. So if you want to see all the mysteries, they're in a Ravelry bundle as well. So you can find them that way too. Okay, so we're working closer to today. And this is Meadow in Bloom. So this is one of my favorites. It's just so much fun. It's a little weirdly stretched out at the moment. I have to reblock it because it was hanging on a hanger at Verb. So it has like it's kind of stretched out in it's in this area up here. So I need to reblock that or hang it up so it like hangs out. So there's more texture in this. And I love the colors of it. It makes me feel happy and springy and yeah, it just does something. So let's take a look up close at this one. There's a lot of texture up in the top bit of it here. So you can see just extra little bits of texture throughout here. And in this little area here, some little textured pieces, and then going into the edge. And this is one of my very favorite stitch patterns in the bottom here. It looks kind of like aspen leaves to me, and I love that pattern. Okay. All right, almost finished. And this one is Time Heals. So this is my 10th mystery, and I really had lots of fun with this. Um, it just has some extra lacy, fun parts to it, and these I loved these big motifs in the middle here. They made me happy. Part of the patterning on here is the way that the fabric stretches when you block it. So this pulls right at these. I'll show you. Actually, let me transition over to my hands here. So right in this area here, it pulls out, outwards, and that is part of the patterning. So it kind of creates this extra shape in here that kind of pulls to the side. So this one, my 10th mystery. So it's all leafy and there's some cables in there. And this large motif, that large leaf motif. And then the edging here is kind of flowery. And there's a few cables in the edge as well. So this one was a lot of fun, I thought. Alrighty, and then moving on to last year. This is Falderal. I was feeling very purpley, and I really enjoyed this one. So there's something about doing the mysteries I love so much because I actually designed them with the clues in mind. So there's something interesting to do on each one of them and like on each part of it, basically on each clue. So there's a lot of little tiny bits of things hidden throughout. And this one started at this tip right here and worked up to the top here, and it's bound off across the top, and then stitches are picked up around the triangle, and that is called a modern hap construction. So it's similar, it's kind of a modified Shetland type construction. And then into this area here, um, that has the slip stitch patterning. And I should show you the back again because I don't like having those floats. So that's as much of a float as you get in the slip stitch patterning. And you can see up here, this is where it starts, right at the base of that triangle here. And then down in the center here, I worked on making that center part decorative because like as I was saying before, I don't like just having a haphazard sort of spine in there. So I just made the center as decorative as I could in there. So, and it kind of ended up looking sort of heart-shaped in the middle, or like little heart-shaped leaves. And then the edging is leafy as well. And that's another one of my favorite patterns in the edge there. And this was last year's. So, and now tomorrow we're getting ready for my 12th mystery with a verb for keeping warm. And then I had some questions to answer. So let's see. Sue said, which was the pink one, but that brown one is one color in cashmere. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So the pink, the two color pink one is called Beautiful Together. And then this tan colored one back here, this is natural cashmere. And that is the same shawl, but it's just done in one color. And then let's see. So I'm looking at the, let me see, on the mannequin gold and tan. So the gold one on the mannequin is Morning Trail, and that one was just two skeins of fingering weight. So like that was the one that had that knitted on edging, and I thought it looked really good in one color. And then on this side is Moon Shadows, but it's the large size of Moon Shadows. And let's see. Let me see. Okay. Okay, I think I got everything. So one big question that I often get is, what is the skill level for these? So I'm not going to lie. One of my very favorite things about doing the mystery is that when if people look at my designs, they often say, "Oh, that's too difficult. I could never do that." But a mystery is broken up into five pieces. So every year we get people knitting in the Ravelry group who have never knit lace before, or maybe just started knitting, and they do beautiful shawls. And I think that a big part of that is just like they didn't look at it and say, I could never do that. They're just like, oh, I think I'm just going to try this because I really want to take part in this mystery. So my answer is, if you want to do this, you can totally do it. So every time a clue comes out, I do a live and I go through all the techniques in that clue. Um, so so this year it's going to be four lives and then one pre-recorded I'm going to stream because I'm going to be out of town for the last clue, and I won't have my setup with me. But um, every time there's a clue, I go through the entire thing. I tell you exactly like all the techniques you'll need. I demonstrate the techniques. Um, and then in the Ravelry group and now Facebook group as well, we're all knitting together and everybody's hanging out and so helpful. And everybody's doing this together. And you should see some of the amazing pieces of art that new knitters have created. So I personally think if you want to do this, you should do it. I mean, but that's sort of my outlook. Like if you want to do something, if you see something and you want to do it, then you're going to be motivated to do it. And that's what you should do. You shouldn't start with something that looks really um, easy or simple if you don't want to do that. Like if you want to do something, just jump in. So let's see, looking at, yay, Tammy, excited that this is your first one. Let me see. So, yay, I am so happy to hear that, Mary. So, Mary said I knitted last year's and it was my first lace shawl. You made it doable. Yay, that is excellent. And let me see. So, Sue said, I admit I have never attempted RAV groups yet. I want to, and I'm sure there is tons of help there if we need it. Yes, there is a lot. So I do have the Facebook group now too, if you're just not on Ravelry. But so my Ravelry group is like it's a really friendly, warm, welcoming place, and people love helping each other. And it's set up to be that way. And the mods are amazing and really helpful. And so I know that there are places on the internet that are like just you want to stay away from it, and it makes you want to take a shower after you've been there. But my group, the people are so nice and so kind and helpful. It's a good place to be. So, and we worked up front to keep it that way. And now the people who are there as part of the community are just, they're really good people. So, let me see. Other questions. So, Sue, you should come over. Yes, come on over. Let's see. And Nancy, last year's, I didn't know last year's was your first. That is so cool. I love it. I love it. So, and every year there's someone who's like, I've never knitted lace before. I've never done this before. I just started knitting and I thought this looked really fun. Um, you can totally do this. You can totally do it. Let's see. Any questions? Okay. So also, if you're watching this and you're kind of on the fence about should I do this or not, I don't know if I want to do lace. I have a series of videos that I streamed last summer, Summer of Lace, and it's kind of like lace knitting from A to Z. So I go over all sorts of questions, like from choosing your yarn all the way through to blocking. So there's a lot of help just in those videos as well to kind of familiarize yourself with how lace is structured and like how to fix simple mistakes, all kinds of stuff like that. So, like, this is super supported. So, I think I think you can do it. So let me see. Questions. Okay, so yarns. So let's talk a little bit about yarns because some of you may not have chosen. I know that a lot of you order from Verb, but I know also lots of people stash dive. So you're going to need two skeins of yarn. It's a two color, so one skein of each color. So don't choose a yarn that has less than 385 yards. I won't make you play yarn chicken. If you get gauge, you'll be totally fine. And you should have enough yarn actually to do a swatch plus finish the entire shawl. But if you end up needing a little bit extra, sometimes what I like to do, because I hate having little swatches just lying around, I actually just keep it attached to my skein. So I do the whole thing. I go and I swatch and then I block it. So in this particular case, because it's a lace shawl, the the blocking is going to be stretched. So the last step, you're going to stretch it as much as you can stretch it. So that's how you want to block your swatch. So you're always going to do to your swatch exactly what you're going to be doing to your final object. So that, so for instance, like if I were giving you the gauge for this, I would give you the gauge off of my finished product. So always remember that when you're looking at a pattern, the gauge is going to be off of the finished item. It's not going to be it's not going to be pre-block. So always remember when you swatch, do exactly to your swatch what you're going to do to your finished object. So for lace, that means doing your swatch and then washing it and pinning it out, letting it dry, and then unpin it and then measure for your gauge. So it's not going to be like hugely, absolutely crucial like it would be for a sweater fit, but you always want to know that you're pretty close because you don't want to run out of yarn or have a tiny project or something like that. So let me take a look at my questions here. Yes, Sue says 2023 Summer of Lace playlist. Yeah, that's exactly it. It talks about all things lace. So like all sorts of stuff. I go through all kinds of techniques and tricks and all kinds of stuff. And then let me see, any other questions? Okay, good. Awesome. So, yay. So Holly's stash diving and asked about a light variegated yarn. So yes, you can definitely use a light variegated yarn. So it could obscure some of the lace patterning, but if it's tonal, then you're going to be able to see a lot of the lace patterning through there also. So the other thing I do in my patterns is I suggest that if you um, aren't sure how things are going to look knitted up together, that you don't cut your yarn. So sometimes there's stripes in the middle or something like that. So I'll have you do what I call a safety loop. And you just leave a big loop there so that you can go back later. And if you like the way it looks together, then you can cut it, the ends and weave the ends in. But if you end up really just not liking the way it looks together, then you don't have to have a big cut up piece of yarn. So yeah, so it should be all good. And let's see, other questions. The other thing actually to remember about variegated yarn is that two yarns can look the same, pretty much the same in the skein. Like you can hold them up and you couldn't really tell them apart from one another, from one another. But when you start knitting them up, sometimes the length of the color in there is going to look different depending on the length of the rows that you're working in your project. So it's possible that you could swatch something like the way that it looks, and then later on, when you actually get to the part where you're going to be using it, it will look different from your swatch. So, and that's really hard to tell if that's going to happen, really super hard to predict. So, if that does happen to you, don't feel bad about it. I mean, it's just kind of one of those weird things about variegated yarns. See, any other questions? Okay. Okay, so the other thing that I generally recommend is to use yarns that have um, that have some contrast to them, basically. So sometimes it's not that big a deal. As you can see, like on my one color samples back here, it did not end up being that big a deal. But it's always nice to have a couple, like a contrast. So, and I think I may have answered all my questions that I see. Um, does anybody else have any questions? Okay, so think about it. Okay, so tomorrow, the 26th of April, the first clue is going to go live at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And then in the clue up at the top, there will be a link to a YouTube live, and I will be live on YouTube again tomorrow afternoon at 4 Pacific, and I will go through the whole first clue. So let me see. So Marianne says, what is the cost of the mystery? So this is the pattern only is a pay what you can model. So I have the full price is $15, and then there are coupons that are shown in the description of the pattern. So you can get it for, I think it is $9, $8, or $7 as well. So the 15, I really appreciate that because it helps me defray the cost of the extra time that goes into it. but I understand that's spendy. So, yeah, so just go ahead and take a look down in the bottom there and you'll see the coupon codes. And that is both on Ravelry and on my designsbyromy.com site. So let me see. I think that's it. So getting really excited. And if you find any questions, like when you take a look at the clue, um, save them up. Ask me tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow for Pacific. And I will be going through the entire first clue and showing you all of the techniques in there. So, super excited um, that you all are going to be joining me. And I hope you can join me tomorrow. And I'll see you very soon. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.